Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today we are going to be doing the last of the noise deadening in the cabin, and that is the wheel wells. So let's get started. We just got back from a trip. I think it was 180 miles one way, 80 miles an hour on the highway, and the cabin is unnaturally quiet. As I often joke, the loudest thing in my car now is my turn signal and the kids in the back, and I can only do something about one of those. So what we have left is I did the rear passenger side. So I need to do the driver's wheel well, passenger's wheel well, and behind the passenger wheel well at this point, and also the transmission tunnel, which I imagine we'll be doing as we tear this carpet up. So initially, I was just going to bring the carpet up, but according to the internet, there are 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And by removing those 4 bolts and very little electrical, these seats will just lift right out. So if I'm in for a penny, I'm in for a pound. The kids are currently with the wife, which gives me some free time. The rain shouldn't hit until nighttime, which gives me some free time. So I'm going to take these seats out. That's going to allow me to clean up. You'll maybe notice there's a little bit of a life in this car. So I'm going to be cleaning that up as we're in here. I'm going to be tearing the carpet completely up. We're going to be using the Celeste thinner noise deadening or insulating material, as well as the Noico material, especially up here in the wheel wells. But between everything we're doing today, we're going to be mitigating the engine noise that already is barely there, and then the transmission tunnel note manual transmission here. So let's go ahead and get started with all of that. To get after those bolts, a 15 millimeter will grab it. So let's go ahead and get all 4 out. I have my weather mats out of the way here as best they can. What you're going to find is underneath these plastic cowlings, you'll pry them up out of the way and you have your 3 and your 4. So you'll notice that I have an extension on here. The nice thing is with metric, once you break it free a little bit, you can just put the extension on there and spin it out. Makes it a lot more ergonomic, a lot less energy. You require a lot less throw, less likely to bust up your knuckles. Let's get these out. I'm gonna tell you, this took 5 minutes. There appears to be a tooth here and here and a joint here. There's a hole up top. You can poke something through to lower this and try leveraging it out. Pretty sure I bent mine. I don't really care. This is going to give you a fight. Not really sure how to take it out. It looks like I just kept prying on this one and trying to rotate it, pivot it out like this, and it eventually came. I don't know that anything at the bottom is necessarily grabbing, but let's go ahead and undo this one as well. We are 4 bolts out. The 2 black ones go to the front, the silver ones to the rear. And now we have a chair that comes loose. So we're going to rock it back as far as we can. Mine is a base model, so I don't imagine there's too much electronics going on. There is a single connector right here. So allow me to free that up. All right, so picked up the chair, moved it forward, set it down, rocked it backwards. Gives you a little bit more vision. We have 3 connectors. We have a yellow, a gray, and a mechanical connection that holds the wiring harness in place. Once those are free, so is the chair. So let's rock it out without destroying the paint. Shiny. So we have the 4 mounting points. This is up out of the way. This is kind of nice if you need to make a conversion camper or something. You just freed up a crap ton of space by not having that seat here. But Again, 3 connections here, 4 mounts there, lifts up out. We can do some inventory. So under the passenger seat, as I've said in another video, I keep these 2 bags. These 2 bags have tension straps in them. Even on this vacation we just took, and of course I won't be able to get this one-handed. So on the vacation we just took, we had a cargo rack on the back of the car, which killed the trunk. Getting the dog in and out was already difficult enough. But let's say I had 3 pieces of luggage and the cargo rack with the cooler and everything on it. And then I realized that I needed to strap the stuff down, which means I'd have to take the cargo rack off to get back to the trunk, to dig under the trunk, which is where I usually stored them with the spare tire and blah, 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 blah. I will never have anything here. So I always have access to them. I could just pull them right out. I have 5 in there. You could probably fit 6 depending on how you wrap them up. But ideal location for them. You know where they are, you know what they are, you know where to put them away, and you can always get to them either pre or post loading. So we have those. We also have some locks for any of the trailers that I'm using. Some elastic straps here. A power inverter. And then this is just a Dollar Tree air center. What you're going to have right here is a vent. So when you have your cabin blowing to your foot position, it's going to be blowing out of these 2 very small, I mean, 1/2 inch by 2 inch, very small vents. These will blow up to the rear passengers, and I will show you a trick in another video what to do with those. But this is pretty well hidden. It's very easy to access either from the front or the back. Kids aren't going to play with it. Kids aren't going to eat it. And as the air goes by it, it's going to aromatize your cabin. So that's what I keep under there. This looks like a tab from me taking the plastics off, so I will keep that for additional usage. Now we're going to run the vacuum, and we're going to clean this out as best we can before we proceed. For those of you who don't know, we have our extension cord. We have the vacuum we're about to run. If you wrap the cables like this, and once you connect them, which is very difficult to do with one hand, connect them. Now, no matter how hard you accidentally pull, you're going to actually make the connection tighter and they cannot disconnect. So very simple way to make your extension cord work for you instead of reconnecting the thing 18 times. Nice. Maybe 5 minutes with a vacuum. Most of it up. That's going to help with smells and stuff. I'll remind you, I have 2 kids. The loud one goes there and the less loud one, but cute one, goes there. Anywho, get all that cleaned up. Looks fantastic. Another thing we can be looking for is any kind of leaks. So this is a 2018. It should not matter, but the older the car, the more likely you are to have the metal start rusting from underneath, and moisture can start permeating into your carpeting and all. So go ahead and take a look for that. Make sure everything is routed correctly, and let's figure out how this comes off. Now, more astute viewers may notice I started with the passenger side, not the driver's side. Driver's side, I imagine, is going to be a little bit more complex. We are fighting a little bit of that. It says it's not going to rain, but you know how accurate the weather is. So this side I was much more comfortable with trying. Should it start raining, I have the garage right there, or this place seems big enough for a seat to go back into. And if I dork it up or run out of time or I can still drive the car. So this is the trial and error side. I'm making sure that it can be done, how easy it is to do, and then I'll be able to do the driver's side faster without with a smaller likelihood of not being able to operate the car. So with that said, I imagine there's going to be something here. I believe there's 4 screws inside here, and I think that will pull out, but let's start with the paneling along the side. So far, as we know from other videos, this one just lifted right up and out. We have a connector here, And here, that's going to engage onto that. So this just lifted physically up. Down here, we have one connector there, which is this guy, just pried right out. So we now have access there. If you have a dash camera, then I routed it along the headliner, down the A column, and I kept some of the slack in here, which is hidden behind this panel. So works out very nicely. Make sure you don't lose that connector. We'll move these out of the car and get looking under there. Next to where that plastic panel came off, there's another connector under there. I don't know how well the light's going to work with me. Let me see if this works. No, it does not. Why would it? So where this is pointing, you'll have to trust me. We're going to try and get that with one hand, which of course it won't, but maybe reflecting off my hand, you can see it is right here. Turns out, if it has a slot in it, which it is, use a flathead screwdriver, rotates out. So here comes that rain that I was told wouldn't be coming, so screw you. Anywho, that's going to be it for now. We did pull the 1-2 there, this side panel, this guy. Next up, we're going to disengage this black plastic from those white clips. I imagine this will roll up, and that'll give me access to the side of the transmission tunnel, as well as the floor here and the floor there. And that's kind of all I really want to do. If I don't need to remove the center console, I won't. But again, thanks to the rain, I will be inside. Here's that totally not going to rain we were expecting. In the meantime, we'll take these inside. We can clean them up a little bit, linseed oil them as I usually do. Those of you who have been to the video channel know that I do that. Linseed oil helps protect the plastic, helps rehydrate it, gives you a moisture barrier, is waterproof, gives it a nice sheen, is organic for those of you who care, and protects it. It's essentially a clear coating for like your paint. And we'll be doing that inside while the rain totally stops falling. No rain. Let's do it. Again, we're going to free up, and peel. So those three, I just pried this in between the white and black and then popped it up. Starting to get some access in there. It also helps if you pop free 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically just reach in here and pull out. Pop that free, get this weather stripping out of the way, and it's starting to rain again. Are you kidding me? Well, we're gonna piecemeal this, but we're gonna do as much as we can. At this point, this is starting to pry up. Ooh, nice. So we do have some rigidity there. We do have some insulation there. So this may be faster than I thought, but let's see if we can't get this peeled out of the way. This material is the noise deadening material, so may be able to skimp a little on the Noico material here. This is the air duct for your air duct. It seems to be a fairly rigid plastic here, and what you can do is just use a 2x4 or a wrench or whatever you have. You can hold that up out of the way. What I'm hoping to do is get this material out of there and at least be able to do the firewall on the cabin side. We did do the firewall on the engine side. And then we can use the Celeste matting over this as we fight the rain. So we'll get as much done as we can. Let's do it. Fighting the rain, the internet says another 10-15 minutes. So pry this up. Again, you have this squishy foam stuff. We are going to leave everything you see on the carpeting. You can position it in a way where you can get access to all this. And luckily, this guy just peels up and we can apply what we need to right there without going any further. So relatively simple. Even that's like a hard, thick rubber along your center console. So I may only have to worry about from this beam back, but it's raining pretty good. I'm going to go inside. With the rain stopped again, We have paper towels and rubbing alcohol. We're just going to clean up the metal before we apply anything. Honestly, it's pretty rigid, right? So I don't know that the Noico noise deadener is going to do so much work, but we are going to insulate it with the Celeste matting. And we would not, if we did not remove the chair, we wouldn't have been able to get here. I've already done this portion previously, so I'm going to do here, there, and there. Again, up under this guy. Don't even have to remove it. Just lift it up and get it as far up there as you can get. So let's clean it and layer it. So we vacuumed and rubbing alcoholed all the surfaces, got as much of the stuff up as we could. And at this point, we're down to one sheet of the Noico mat. This is, again, the noise deadening sound. So since I have already done the back here, I'm going to leave one piece for there, and we'll probably cut this into eighths. We'll use 3 pieces up front, 3 pieces up front. Leaves me a couple pieces for the back there. I'm less concerned about the back. I know there's an engine here. Hearing some road noise in the back is acceptable. So let's cut this up, and we're going to apply it more so. We have material here. This isn't reverberating. It's just as firm as this support beam, so I'm less concerned about that. I do want to cut out the engine noise as best I can. That's the engine noise, as well as the engine bay noise, the belts and the compressors and all the things, as well as just the road noise reverberating around inside the engine bay is going to probably transfer through this layer into the cabin. So the most damage done with the least amount of material is going to be focusing on the engine wall. So I'm going to cut this into eighths, and we'll use probably 2 pieces there. And I do want to put a piece along the center console here, so we are going to save a little bit of material, but let's go ahead and do that. Recall that I told you guys about a 4-foot umbrella from Five Below. It's letting me get some work done. So we used a full one here, a full one here. This is the back side of the wheel well, so there is going to be noise coming from that. And then a half piece there. The second half is here. That's all we're doing for the noise deadening. Anything you put is going to be substantially better than what Subaru didn't. So we have that covered. Let's get the Celeste matting and cover as much as we can with that. Cutting around that tube, we have 3 sheets applied right now. Underneath this is a pain in the ass. If you have the adhesive backing, there's no way you're going to get it wedged under this. There is a disconnect here that I can't figure out, and more importantly, don't care to. So what you can do is cut a piece and leave the backing on it. It's not like it's going to go anywhere. You're going to have the carpet holding it down. More importantly, it's wedged underneath the air vent, so it can't go anywhere. So that's something you can do as well. I'm probably going to have to apply some here. Looks like they have some noise deadening already on the transmission tunnel. So that's nice, but we'll see that a little bit more in detail. I'm going to cut, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets, essentially. Nice. We'll cover your passenger wheel well. So 4 sheets of the Celeste matting. Kind of sort of put it back in place. You can just start pulling this out from underneath. Much easier up here, of course. They do have both some deadening and some insulation, so good on Subaru for that. More than I thought there'd be. And then they don't. So I'm going to try prying at this as best we can and see what we can find. At this point, seems like there's a connection here. You can see the fabric is bending. So that's kind of all I need. The floor is going to be done. I'm going to put a strip as far back here as I can not get to. What I do is I'm just going to peel maybe a 1/5 1/6 of the backing. I'm gonna put it back there and then stick this until it applies. Once I do, I can just one-handedly peel the rest of that paper off, and I can seat it further than I can physically get to. So let's go ahead and do that. So of course I cannot show you, but there's the beginning of the strip, and you can see I got it almost all the way to the back. So that's going to do a pretty good bit there. I imagine I can unzip the top of this and put some on top of the tunnel, but I'm also going to try and put the Celeste matting on here as well, because I feel like this is going to be the majority. It's almost going to be a trumpet horn leading to the engine bay. So all the noise, especially from the exhaust, which runs through the transmission tunnel, you can see even here in the back seat, this raises up quite a bit, so much so that the middle seat has less legroom. But there's a transmission tunnel runs from front to back of the car. The axle and the exhaust both run through it, both of which making noise. So we have more material there than I started with. I'll put another one on the other side and then one on the inside. That's 3 pieces more than we started with. Again, any small amount that you do, it's fantastic how much of a difference it makes. We drove 2.5 hours today back from vacation, 80 miles an hour, being passed by and passing semi trucks in the rain, and it was, I mean, it was unnaturally quiet. So every little thing you do stacks and creates an avalanche, as it were. So we did that there. We're going to do, I think that was it. So we're going to do a sheet here and here of the Celeste matting and get this side done. That worked out quite nicely. So I used a sheet here. I cut it in half, 1, 2. It goes all the way up the wall and down. Little bit of a gap here, but we are substantially better covered than we were. If you get little air bubbles in here, the best thing you can do is just use your thumbnail or an actual nail, pop it, and bleed that blister dry. But anyways, so a sheet, 3, 4, 5. So 5 sheets to do this wheel well, and that's essentially it. That's all we got to do on this side. I have, I think, 6 sheets remaining, so that'll be 5 for up front, 1 for behind the passenger seat. So it's going to be better than it was. I really don't feel like buying more of this stuff, but I mean, just the surface area being covered is substantially more than was there, especially including the fact that I put the noise deadener, and that noise deadener is on the wheel well, and that wheel well has been done on the exterior with the boom mat spray-in liner. That's a different video if you'd like to watch that after this one. But that's what we got on this side. Let's zip everything back together. I like how it takes me 15 minutes to figure out how to roll this thing up, and it takes about 3 minutes to put everything right back. I will say, this, I had to pry out to get this pulled away to be able to run the liner in a little bit better, but everything just snapped right back into place. Everything lines up. Since you've been rolling and unrolling this a couple times, all this debris has freed up, so I ran the vacuum a second time. Looks substantially cleaner. Let's get everything seated, and put the chair in. With your car seat removed, now's as good a time as any to start cleaning. This is the side that's up against the transmission tunnel there, so very difficult to get something down into, but now it's quite easy to get something in there. I do have a dog, so don't freak out too much, but that'll clean up real nice. That all cleaned up pretty good. What I am noticing is a little bit of rust here, so I'm just going to blast that with some spray paint before I put it away. Turns out it is much easier to spray paint when this is not secured to a carpet. So take the time If it's dirty, wipe it down. Gonna let that paint cure at least littlest bit. We'll put it back. So again, if you have any rust showing, any dirt accumulating, go ahead and address it now. Make it better on the way in than it was on the way out. Lining the chair back up is made simpler by the fact that Subaru put a indexing lug here and an indexing hole there. So line it up horizontal with the ground and your side mounted bolts will hopefully drop into place. Whew, back together. I'd say probably 45 minutes, an hour to do it while learning. So let's see how quickly I could disassemble that one. Hoo-wee. All right, so we still have the 4 bolts, 2 connections, a white and a yellow, 1 mechanical connection to hold the harness in place, and it cleaned up quite nicely. Also, free French fry. So that's what we got here. I'm going to start peeling, I assume, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it should start prying. I believe somewhere in here, under here. Let me figure it out and I'll show you guys. But that'll have to come up as well. Maybe we could just peel this back and do the same thing again. Okay, yeah, so just pop that open. It is a Phillips screw. This was kind of tricky. You have this opening here. You're going to hold this up and then slowly try prying this nose up and then slide it off. While we're here, a tip for the video. This is a black connector. This is black carpet. This is a black lever. This is stupid. So what I did is some white tape. This is actually a sticker. And now you have a very high contrast white lever, which, okay, why do you care? On the Subarus, this is your gas tank lid release. So you cannot get gas unless you pop this. You're probably getting gas after work, which means in the winter at very least, it's going to be quite dark. So instead of you trying to look from here, down here, into the black, onto the black, for the black, go ahead and give yourself some high contrast with the white sticker. So we had 1, 2 pry outs off of this plate. I can now clean that. We had a pry off and a spin off. Both of these are held in with spin offs. So this one goes up here and you would rotate it counterclockwise. Same with this big boy, counterclockwise. This plate comes out and we should be able to start rolling. All right, so there should be a chair here. It's over there. All that popped out. Here and here are, well, they're buried now, but there are 2 arms that come out to about here, and the weather guard mud mat would clip onto those. So I had to pry 1, 2 off, and then everything just kind of came off. This guy, you'll grab by the bottom and lift straight up, and that will give you a little bit more access to some things. I could put some deadening material under there. Very nice. Again, we have a layer here, some deadener there, so I'm gonna go light. Looks like we had a leak or something, so we can clean that up a little bit. And this is for your rear windshield wiper. This is the fluid hose. Kind of interesting. So that's what we got there. Let's go ahead and try getting this material up. I may have to unbolt that, which is unfortunate. Oh, no, I could probably just pry this up. Anyways, allow me to play and we'll clean it up. All right, so we did a couple pieces up there, a couple pieces around here. Did some noise deadening and insulation across the transmission tunnel there. So gonna be much better than it was. Let's go ahead and attempt to get to the bottom of this and do the back piece as well. To get to the behind the driver footrest, foot well, they recommend taking off the bench seat, which I have 2 kids and a bunch of stuff in right now, so I ain't doing it. Luckily, you can just keep it up with this. There's already some material there, so all I have to do is the Celeste matting. And since that is the case, I have 2 more strips of the Noico deadening material that I can apply maybe up under there, or maybe a little bit better there, wherever. So let me apply the 2 sheets after I vacuum it and rubbing alcohol clean it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. So I was able to put a little bit over the transaxle tunnel there. Was able to put the Celeste. Had a remaining strip of the Noico, so you can see I put a small piece on the steering column, and then another piece center of the screen right now. That's a big metal chassis that I imagine in some way is connected to the engine bay and will transmit some of the noise in. So we're good to go. I am out of material. Shiny, much better than it was. I mean, let's see, this is 2 foot by 8, so call it 6 feet. That's 12 square feet times 2 that have been covered, and a sheet and a half of the Noico. So this is going to sound much better. Let's go ahead and put it all together. We're losing the sun. Took a little bit more work to put it away because we have a few more pedals, 3 more on this side than the other side. While we're here, we're going to wipe down this side wall since we can actually get access to it. Putting the chair in is a bit of a trick. I essentially, if this is the part you sit on, I rolled it forward and then slipped the closest to the door side up while rolling the headrest in towards the gear select and was able to pull it out. Can't really show you that because I'd be carrying a 50-pound chair, but let's go ahead and clean it up and put the seat back in. I'm about to put the plastics in. I just wanted to show you the substantial difference a single coat of linseed oil makes. Compared to be fair, has been stepped on numerous times. Mud carpet there. But even if we flip it over, compare the standard plastic without the stippling to the treated one, looks much better. It will take several days for it to cure. It doesn't really pick up any fingerprints or anything. Can accumulate hairs, so keep that in mind. But this was treated while I was tearing that apart. So let's go ahead and put them all back. All right, guys, that is it. We're out of material. Every square inch that I care to get to of this car has been done. So we are done with the noise deadening series. Whew. All right, let's see. Altogether, it was, I think, $50 for the Noico, $70 for the Celeste, $50 for 3 cans of the spray in the wheel well stuffs. The $13 mats, I used 1 roll for the doors, 2 rolls on the roof, probably 4 rolls in total on this car. So what does that put us at? 250-ish? So less than $300, let's say. If I did everything all together, I would estimate that this was an 8 or 10 hour journey, truth be told. But I would say 8 to 10, maybe 12 hours if you don't know what you're doing, or if you have to learn it as you go like I did. I probably have 14 or 15 hours in this if we combined everything. I also have 2 toddlers and luckily no social life. But all in all, I would say it was absolutely worth it. I've learned a great deal. I've learned how to take off darn near every panel where most wiring harnesses are. I can add a USB port to the back of my center console there, so that'll be something I'll be doing. And the last thing we have is taking it for a drive, which I'm not going to do today because it is raining and or the roads are wet. So that's going to be an unfair comparison. But maybe tomorrow I'm going to take it for a drive. We'll see how much better it sounds. All in all, I believe my average was 76, 78 decibels to work. And just with what I had done before today, I think my average was 72. So keep in mind, every 3 decibels less is 1/2 of the amount of energy, amount of sound, the volume levels inside the cabin. So makes a substantial difference with honestly a lot of time investment, but very, I'll say little, less than $300 worth of money and a little bit more of a time investment. But the physical exertion, I mean, at most I lifted 2 40-pound seats 4 times, twice out, twice in. Everything else is relatively easy to get to. So that is what we have for now. Let's take it for a drive. Just completed the 35-minute drive into work. Average decibels are on screen now. The decibel meter is on an uncalibrated cell phone with a free app, so it is what it is. Probably doesn't analyze the entire spectrum, but unnaturally quiet is the way I would explain it. When you're accelerating, you'll of course hear the engine. You do have thousands of explosions a minute 6 feet away from you, so you are going to hear that. But at idle and cruising speeds, it's eerily quiet in here. I will say I've usually noticed a substantial drop in decibels, improvement in sound quality with every additional layer that's been added. This is the first long range video I've done after doing the floors, which was the last part of this project. And I will say it kind of returned the least amount with the investment as far as the time investment. There was already some noise deadening, as you saw, in both of the front footwells. So I couldn't deaden it as much as I could insulate it, add insulation to it. And even then it had quite thick layers of foam. So didn't return too much, but I would imagine you're going to get a better attenuation of rain and snow and sleet and hail and gravel and stuff being kicked up against the bottom of the car versus just your typical engine noise and road noise. But all in all, I believe we're less than $350. I think it's $300. Like I said, probably 15 hours all combined. You could do it in a shorter period of time if you have a Subaru and you've, watched these videos, or if you look into how to get access to the various parts of your car. But 10 out of 10 would recommend. Very, truth be told, relaxing. I've learned a great deal about the interior of my car just as I work on the exterior and repairs and maintenance and stuff like that. So have a better appreciation for it. And as I've said before, everything you do in some way does improve the sound quality. And by that, you're going to get less anxiety. You're going to have less energy being dumped into your head holes for 30, 40, 50, however many minutes you drive a day. You're going to hear mechanical issues with your car easier. You're getting rid of the noise, not sound. You're still going to hear horns. You're still going to hear dogs barking, kids crying, all the things. But definitely increases comfort, both atmospherically, the ambient noise, and temperature. You're going to insulate better. Today we had a snap frost. 34 degrees, I think, is what we woke up to before October's over. So car warmed up a little bit faster. I would say I'm in the car without a jacket because I love me the cold. But anywho, definitely made a difference. I'm going to try recording some things on the way home so you can hear them. And that's what we got for now. We are approaching the smooth asphalt. 30 miles an hour, 1600 RPMs. Nice. And neutral. Barely whispering for you guys. Back into gear. It's eerily quiet. So 30 miles an hour again. And neutral. This is with everything done to the car. 30 miles an hour, freshly paved road here, and I will try and get a highway in as well. We have the air off. We are doing 64 miles an hour. I am in 6th gear at 2400 RPMs. Let's hear how quiet this cabin is. I am literally hearing more wind noise, wind buffeting going past the windshield than I am anything else. If I engine brake like this, I don't really hear the engine. If I accelerate like this, $70 miles an hour, cruising. This pavement is grooved. So much so that you probably have a 60-40, 60% concrete, 40% open groove. Still not terrible. We're going to downshift into 5th. Going to pass this SUV. So understand, I'm doing 72 right now. I'm going to go around. That's my turn signal. My turn signal is literally louder than my accelerating car. So it's there goes a motorcycle faster than me, louder than me. But I mean, all in all, it's quite a bit quieter. Would recommend. The last thing, we're at a red light. I'm gonna accelerate to 35. Smoothest or quietest roads here in Cleveland, Ohio, but engine braking to red light. And idle. So very quiet, more so, especially highway speeds. Of course, the smoother and quieter the road surface, and the more you're going to get a return there. But I can barely hear this engine idling now. And as I've said, I've had to relearn this transmission once or twice. transmission, you're in control of the clutch. Usually I rely on RPM sounds to know when to shift and get the timing right and all that. So with the deadening, I've had to relearn that as we go. But you will hear the engine during accelerations. You will more so hear the items in your car buzzing and shifting when you hit bumps more than the sheer concussion of the imperfections in the road. To a stop. I'm almost whispering, a very low tone talking, and I argue the turn signal is probably the loudest implement in this car. Chunk chunk, that's me changing the gears. So chunk chunk, I can hear that over the engine. It's impressive. Doing 50 engine braking, 50 neutral, brakes applied. A little bit of grinding. We are on a 20-degree downhill incline, and I'm in the rust belt. I feel like I mentioned that. So I'll literally walk out to the car and notice some surface brown rust on the rotors. Brakes don't get a lot of use with the highway drive, so going down this hill, 3,500 pound car, you're going to hear it a bit. But as I said, all in all, definitely worth the time. I've got people at work interested. Hey, can you do my car? I don't know how sincere or willing they are, but I do get offers, so it's something I would recommend doing yourself, maybe for your family. As I said, gift item. I have a video on my channel for 4 hours soundproof, well, partially sound deadening, not nearly to the extent I've done on my own car, but making my mom's car quite a bit quieter. My dad's will be coming here shortly. 20-degree incline hill, 5th gear, 2,000 RPMs. Oh my gosh. Now I'm literally whispering. Miles an hour, I am more so hearing the rustling of the wind on the window, even with a load going up a hill when the engine should be struggling, chugging, groaning, much louder than cruising on the highway. It's fantastic, guys. Would recommend. You're going to spend less than $300 in material, less than 20 hours all in.